It was the beginning of a long-anticipated weekend. I had been planning this getaway for months. After an intense quarter at work, where deadlines ruled my days and sleepless nights became routine, I was finally going to have 3 uninterrupted days to myself at the lake house. Just peace, a few novels, and maybe a glass of wine on the porch swing. Nothing could ruin this. I loaded my car Friday morning with all the essentials: snacks, my favorite flannel blanket, a fishing rod I rarely used but always brought, and a carefully curated playlist for the 2-hour drive. My phone buzzed just as I turned the ignition. It was a text from my sister, Katie. "Hey, not sure if it's okay, but Mark might be stopping by your lake place this weekend. Something about needing to clear his head. Hope that's cool." I blinked at the screen, frowning. Mark was her ex-boyfriend, the one who always made family gatherings awkward with his long-winded stories and offbeat jokes. I hadn't seen him in nearly a year, and last I heard, he was moving to Arizona. What was he doing back? I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the screen. The polite part of me wanted to say sure, but another part screamed, "No way. Not this weekend." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. "He's already on the way. Sorry. Didn't think you'd mind." I stared at the message in disbelief. My relaxing weekend was about to take a strange turn. The drive felt less serene than usual. The music couldn't calm me down, and even the view of golden cornfields passing by didn't soothe my nerves. When I pulled into the driveway, the sky was already shifting into sunset. The lake shimmered, birds chirped from the trees, and for a second, I convinced myself maybe Mark wouldn't show up after all. But as I reached the porch steps, I noticed a beat-up silver sedan parked at the side of the house.
Great.
He was already here. I opened the door to find Mark in the kitchen, barefoot, humming to himself while frying something in a pan. "Hey, Rachel," he said cheerfully, as if we were the best of friends. "Hope you don't mind." I let myself in. Katie gave me the spare key code. "Yeah, I figured," I replied, dropping my bags with a sigh. "You look like you could use a drink," he said, pointing to the bottle of wine on the counter. I opened this. "Hope that's okay." It wasn't, but I nodded anyway. Mark had always been one of those guys who operated on his own rhythm, sometimes charming, sometimes frustrating. He had this talent for turning a simple conversation into a philosophical debate or an awkward silence. And now, he was invading the one weekend I had carved out for myself. "I just needed some space," he explained, pouring me a glass. "Life's been complicated lately." I nodded, unsure of what to say. I didn't want to pry, but I also didn't want to spend 3 days tiptoeing around someone else's emotional baggage. We ate in silence, the occasional clink of forks and distant loons on the lake the only sounds between us. After dinner, I retreated to the back porch, hoping to reclaim a sliver of my original plan. But Mark followed, sitting across from me with a deep sigh. "You ever feel like everything's moving too fast?" he asked. I looked up, surprised by the vulnerability in his voice. "Yeah," I admitted. "All the time." He smiled faintly. "That's why I came here." I remembered this place being quiet, peaceful. I figured maybe some quiet would help me figure things out. It wasn't the weekend I had imagined. But as the night grew darker and stars began to poke through the navy sky, I realized that maybe this visit wasn't just about Mark. Maybe it was about both of us.